The new Radio Times journeys back through 25 years of Doctor Who, seeking out his companions of time travel. Today's Doctor launches a new feature for the magazine. Sylvester McCoy reveals his kind of day. Ever wanted to try racing a rally car?
A long time ago, in order to find out what was on TV that day, a tiny man would enter your home and then scribble the network schedules on the side of the TV. Eventually, the little men would go on strike and would be replaced with the Radio Times, a magazine that has been published weekly since 1923. Actually, if the name was any indicator, they only did radio broadcasts until the late 1930s, where they were assimilated by the BBC. As the Radio Times is a newspaper, but without all of the racist political opinions that most newspapers thrive on, eventually some madman thought it would be a good idea to put newspaper comic strips inside to keep the children entertained while your mum is trying to find out what time slot the EastEnder reruns were moved to. In 1996 we got the Doctor Who movie, which meant Doctor Who was back after a 7 years hiatus. Unfortunately, it failed to gain any traction and didn't bring back the series, and so it remained dead for another 9 years. But it was decided to carry on with Paul McGann's 8th Doctor in expanded media, comics, novels, audio dramas, lunchboxes, pogs, etc. And the first person to work on 8th Doctor stories beyond the movie, or at least, the first to have them published, was the Radio Times, whose comic strips debuted the week after the movie, beating the Doctor Who magazine comics by 3 months, also beating the first novel by just under a year, and the first audio drama by about 5. Written by Gary Russell and drawn by Lee Sullivan with colours by Alan Craddock, these comic strips have never been collected or reprinted, except in charity unofficial Doctor Who annual for 1997, made in 2023. But they can no longer be custom ordered, and they are pretty easy to download to begin with, so I don't think I'm stealing any money from neglected children in making this video. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's begin the 8th Doctor's adventures in the Radio Times. The adventure begins with two folks named Bill and Stacy running away. Anyway, Bill falls through the floor. Bill's dead. The Doctor then makes it the perfect time to show up, and then the Cybermen burst in through the floor. The Cybermen start shooting head lasers out of their, you guessed it, shins. With how the Doctor talks about his recent facelift and the fact that the movie was 2 weeks ago, I presume this takes place immediately after the film. Anyway, the TARDIS is stolen. The Doctor and Stacy meet the Cyber Controller, who famously leaves his brain exposed because, as we all know, the brain isn't a vital organ. Anyway, Bill's a Cyberman now. The Cybermat suckling his nipples looks like a cross between a classic Who and a new Who version. Speaking of, the Cyber Controller sticks the Doctor into a computer to steal his secrets and make a Time Lord Cyberman hybrid. Where have I seen that one before? The cheeky comic strip isn't afraid to crack a few jokes. Stacy isn't a trained soldier. She's more of a trained mover of boxes from A to B. The Doctor is in the astral projection cyberspace and visualizes a Cyberman version of himself, complete with wiring for his fantastic hair. Honestly, that's pretty freaking cool. Since he is resistant to mind probing, the Cybermen resort to Plan B. Threaten to kill the hostage. He acquiesces, very grown-up word, and takes the Cybermen to the TARDIS. Because the Cyber Controller doesn't trust him, he decided to bring everyone, including the partially converted Bill. The Doctor gives Bill a touch on the shoulder and Bill tries to kill them. Before Bill can land a karate chop, Stacy reminds Bill that they were friends before. The Cybermen are invaders, and then recap the first strip. Bill helps out by punching the Cybermat and lasering the Cyber Controller before finally getting killed by the Cybermen. The Doctor reverses the polarity of the neutron flow, the most basest scientific nonsense jargon to ever be spoken.
Can you reverse the polarity?
I'll do my best.
And then the Cybermen get yeeted out of the TARDIS and magnetically shred each other. The Doctor turned the ceiling off just to see the carnage outside, because the TARDIS can just do that, I suppose. Would have come in handy when landing in 1999 San Francisco. Anyway, Bill's dead, Stacy's saved, and they depart on a voyage back home. But first, a small detour. On the way back to Earth, they make a pit stop on ancient Mars to watch a Martian prince become a man at his space bar mitzvah. Much more interesting than the Earth coming-of-age tradition by seeing boobies for the first time in a movie your parents didn't know any better about. Anyway, the gods notice them eavesdropping. Apparently, spying on the noble is punishable by death. Stacy's defense? We was just looking. Yeah, sound strategy. It apparently worked and the Ice Warriors apologize. Perhaps my lawyer should have suggested it at my Peeping Tom hearing. Anyway, Prince Isaxriel, who I will just call Prince Is from now on, is attacked by rival soldiers. The Doctor takes a moment in the middle of the deadly icicle firefight to give a brief lesson on caste systems, feudalism, and aristocratic class wars, just before Commander Ristal is killed and everyone is hit with a concussion grenade. When everyone wakes up, Tostok is dead, taking the main brunt of the attack, and the soldiers of Artix have taken Prince Is prisoner. Sard is the only survivor. They inform the king, who is understandably led to believe that his son had been taken hostage by his brother-in-law, 2 of his lieutenants are dead, and the heir to his titles and lands are presumed dead, all because the Doctor was peeping on a Martian quinceañera. Understandably, not a good look, but then the Queen Consort advocates that the Doctor go rescue the prince, while her thought bubble spoils her inevitable betrayal later on. Stacy and Sard share a look of confusion with the Doctor's nonsense wordplay. The Queen has snitched to her brother, and the air car was rigged to explode. During the rides to Artix's crib on the M25, the M stands for Mars, the Doctor shares a theory that the motivations for kidnapping was political, not ransomical, if that even is a word. Stacy thinks the wife is behind it all, but the Doctor is easily fooled by a pretty face. No mother could want to kill her son. And then the car blows up. Anyway, Artix wakes up the Doctor and skips the introductions. He already interrogated Stacy and Sard and needs the Doctor to do, well, doctoring. Prince is malnourished but gets to live. Since he missed his Sweet 16, he can't take the throne. And then, when the king snuffs it, High Lord Arseprick will become the new king. One small hike later, gotta be killer carrying a body all the way too. The Doctor speculates that because of the transporter that inexplicably saved them from the car crash, a mysterious third party must have wanted them dead, while Artix wanted them alive. Then somebody tried to assassinate the prince and Is impaled the bugger. Is, despite no longer being eligible for the throne, joins the Doctor to save his friends, avenge his birthright, and foil the spy in the kingdom. The third serial is just continuing on from the first. The Doctor still has no idea who is screwing them, while the Queen calls Brother Arseprick so they don't accidentally bollocks up the other's plans, meaning they are likely working towards similar but separate goals. The Doctor and Is park the car where it'll be safe and find a convenient secret passage. Even the old Martians had a flair for the dramatic. They immediately meet a cave monster and whilst fleeing the scene, stumble into a pit of acid. Though the acid actually turns out to be a shallow puddle of bioluminescent goo. The Doctor makes a reference, which totally goes over Iz's head. The secret tunnel leads directly into a prison cell. A lovely chat in Mars-Catraz leads to the conclusion that the person sent to profit the most is family, ergo, the mother. Then Is tries to strangle Artix. The Doctor pushes both of them down, duping the guard into shooting the other, and then getting blinded with the magic mud from earlier. Queen Loas decides to take business into her own hands. After freeing Stacy and Sard, the whole gang takes a trip back to the castle, wherein Stacy and the Doctor worry that Is could take his revenge against his mother too far for his own safety. Just as the Queen was ready to flee, she stabbed her own bodyguard and pinned the blame on the convenient interlopers. Is barges in to defend the Doctor against his mother, and then the Queen shoots her own brother for his failure before she gets away. The King, learning of his wife's betrayal, he shoots her. Guess that saves on the cost of hiring a divorce attorney. His Axriel is ascended, and the planet celebrates. Also, Sard knows what Christmas is, so what period of Martian history is this? I thought this was set in the ancient past, but the wiki claims it's set in the future of the 31st century. Did the Martians come back? There's no evidence, and Dreadnought took place in the 2200s. Oh, these questions make my head spin. Let's move on. The Doctor took Stacy and Sard away to one of his favourite tourist destinations, Victorian England. isn't he just the basicest bitch in the galaxy? Also, apparently green skin will become a fashion trend in the 24th century, but the fact of the matter is, the Vulcan ship from Star Trek First Contact is smack dab in the middle of the street and nobody gives a Scooby. Turns out some lovely chap explains it perfectly. A perception filter makes it look like a solicitor's office. The doctor takes a tour, but a constable is up to something. The doctor asks why he's here, so the delightful man takes off his disguise to reveal he is a horse alien. And the doctor asks why he's here. Pete's sake, give the man a minute. Turns out he got lost. His wife had the map upside down and they wound up here by accident. She's missing and possibly taken by a freak show. A small debate on how laws and punishment are stupid. God, when did Doctor Who become so political? Sard spots a suspicious Bobby on the monitor, so the Doctor and Stacy pop out to say hello. But Stacy is quickly pulled aside by some street urchins that the astronaut secretariat hired to find his wife. The cast of Oliver hurry her away as the exhibition is about to move. The peeler is replaced with an old lady the moment the Doctor turns his head. Seems the copper and the ringmaster are tied together as they both have red eyes, and this bloke needs a spaceship. The ragamuffins cause a distraction so Stacy can free Fluttershy, but the ringmaster threatens to kill the children. Worst case scenario, they could be her great-great-grandpappy and snapping their necks could wipe her from time. Stacy cold cocks him in the eyeball so the Equinoid and the Artful Dodger can dip out, but Oliver Twist gets zapped and the comic strip turns to black. Back at the solicitors, Sard was fixing the ship, and the horses are reunited. But sadly, as soon as Stacy comes back, she carries the dead boy in hand. 24 hours later, BoJack Horseman paid for the poor lad to have a proper burial, something most street children didn't get. The horses on their way home. The Doctor wants to find the other alien who did the poor lad in. Stacy must have killed him in a fit of rage and hands over something she found in his pocket. Probably a lead, but the policemen have followed them to the TARDIS. All part of the plan. Everyone has a sad moment over a self-defense killing, but as soon as Stacy hears that they got a fix on the home planet of their mystery man, her eyes turn red. This isn't Stacy. All the Doctor has to do is push a button and the alien will be revealed. He asks Stacy what he should do, send him home or strand him on Earth. Stacy advocates sending them home to avoid interfering with Earth's history, obviously. With a push of the button, the police start to experience pain and then change into their native form. The Doctor would have given them a lift home if they asked, but they killed a child and impersonated his friend. The Doctor flipped the cards and revealed that he had an inkling of suspicion and demands to know where the real Stacy is, or be trapped, half in, half between human and what they are. The threat pays off and the real Stacy is turned over. The shapeshifters will be returned to their planet, but on the Doctor's term. The aliens threaten to invade Earth again later, but the Doctor doesn't think that would be wise, not after he tells them that the invasion was a failure, and protected by the Doctor. The Doctor, Stacey Townsend, and Sard the Martian depart on the next wild adventure. Sadly, after 42 weeks of weekly comic strips, the Radio Times adventures would end. Coda wasn't meant to be the ending, as the 5th serial would have been named Deceptions, leading me to believe that the fake Stacy was meant to be a long-running plotline. But then there was a change in management and it was decided to kill the series early. The original plan was 60 strips. Coda was made to wrap everything up, but there were 2 incomplete strips from Deceptions. First, Sard and the Doctor would debate the purposes of pastimes while fishing, and then notice something being off with Stacy. While the comic ended early, it was not the end for Stacy and Sard. In the 8th Doctor Adventures range of novels, in the novel Placebo Effect by Gary Russell, it's revealed after leaving the company of the Doctor sometime in the 40th century, the two would later get engaged and invite the 8th Doctor to their wedding. And then later in the 12th Doctor novel, The Big Bang Generation, also by Gary Russell, Stacy and Sard were seen celebrating their 18th anniversary with their 3 children. So at least they got their happy ending. And on that conclusion, thank you for joining me on this weird voyage of the nichest parts of the 8th Doctor's adventures. See you next time.
Are you?
The White Witch of Narnia, beside herself on the new Radio Times.